Hello everyone, welcome to day 21st of August Lead Code Challenge, and today's question is Sudoku Solver. Yesterday we solved valid Sudoku and it's an extension to that problem. So without much ado, let's understand the question. The question says we are given a 9 cross 9 Sudoku puzzle and we need to return a possible solution to that puzzle. There are few constraints that are specified in the question. Let's go through each one of them. Each of the digit from 1 to 9 must occur exactly once in each row. Each of the digit from 1 to 9 must occur exactly once in each column. Similarly, in these sub matrices of size 3 cross 3, digit 1 to 9 must occur only once. So there are 9 such sub matrices. Also, when I personally try to solve this question on the newspaper, I most of the time tend to fail or I mess up the Sudoku block, so I'm very bad at it. But using this code, I can solve it pretty easily. And I'll tell you, solving this question by code is easier than solving that. So without much ado, let's look at the presentation that I have created for this and let's get started. Sudoku solver lead code 37, and on lead code it's a hard problem, but I don't feel that way because we have solved plenty of questions on backtracking technique and we will be using the same to solve this question. So let's try and understand the solution by the backtracking technique. Also, I am attaching the link of the previous question that I have solved using backtracking. So after solving this, do give them a try and it will be really helpful for you guys. So let's try and understand the question. These are the same constraint that was specified in the question. Each row must have uh, digits from 1 to 9 only once. Each column must have digits 1 to 9 only once, and each matrix must have digits from 1 to 9 only once. So how are we going to start the process? The process is pretty simple and straightforward. So what you're going to do, you'll start from the number 1 and you will go and fill in this number in an empty block. As soon as you see an empty block, you will fill that block with number 1, starting from number 1, and you will continue the processing and try to fill the rest of the blocks. At each step, you will check whether these conditions are not violated. If these conditions are violated, you will traverse back and update the added numbers back to empty blocks. So if you have started from 1, you will go and update this block back to an empty block, and then you will process it with a higher number and start from number 2. Similarly, you will go up till number 9. And while iterating through all the possibilities, we will definitely find one possible solution. So the crux of the problem lies in identifying whether it's a violation case or not. And let's talk about those violating constraint. How will you check whether a violation has happened in your Sudoku board or not? Let's assume that you are filling a number at this particular index 7 comma 6 here, somewhere here, and let's assume that that number is supposedly 8. Then how are you going to check whether the violation has happened in this block or not? For the row, you will iterate across all the elements corresponding to this row. So let me just highlight the row by R and the column by C. So you will iterate from the 0th index up till the 8th index and check whether the board of row comma 0 till 8 doesn't hold an 8 value. If it does, then violation has happened. Similarly, the next check is for column. So column is 6 instead of 7, and here you will check board of 0 till 8 doesn't hold any value as 8, at the column C, which is represented by 6 here. And here the row value was 7. Now comes the interesting case. These were pretty straightforward. You just need to iterate in this particular column and then this particular row, and it was pretty easy to write this algorithm. The tricky part is identifying violation in this submatrix. For checking the violation in this particular submatrix, let me just ask you a very simple question. How many elements are there in this submatrix? There are 9 elements. So you'll start from the count 0 up till count 8, because there are 9 elements in total. And using this information, we will try and identify each of these numbers. So let's check what is the row value. The row value that is given to us is R, which is 7, and the column value that is given to us is C, which is 6. So R is 7 and C is 6. How can we reach the starting element of this submatrix? So it's again pretty easy. What you are going to do, you'll divide this value by 3 and then multiply this value by 3. So if you divide this value by 3, I by 3 into 3, it will give you the normalized starting row, which is equal to 7 by 3 is 2, 2 into 3 is 6. So you get the normalized row. So this row, that means the starting of this submatrix starts at this particular row. Similarly for column, you'll normalize it. What is the start value of C that is given to you? It is 6. 6 by 3 is 2. 2 into 3 is 6. So the value turns out to be 6. So we get the entry points of the submatrix as 6, 6. So we'll start the iteration from I equals to 0 up till I equals to 8, and we will check using this formula what is the element that is held at these particular indexes. So NR signifies normalized row, NC signifies normalized column, and here we know that the values are 6, 6. So let's start the iteration. 6, let's assume I equals to 0. So when I equals to 0, what will be the value of this particular block? It would be board of 6 plus 0 by 3. 0 by 3 is 0, and then 6 plus 0 modulus 3, it's again 0. So 6 by 6. So we'll check whether the value at 6 by 6, which is 2, is equal to 8 or not. It's not equal, we'll move ahead. Then we'll have I equals to 1, and let's try and generate the new index. It would be equal to 6 plus 1 by 3, which is 0, followed by 6 plus 1 modulus 3, which is 7. So the index is B of 6, 7, which is 8, and this time 8 turns out equal to the newly updated number, and since it's a violation case, we will abort the process. Let me just tell you few more iterations with I so that you can understand this formula. Next we have is I equals to 2, and at I equals to 2 we'll get 6 plus 2 by 3, which is 6. Then we have 6 plus 2 modulus 3, which is 8. So it will take care of this particular index. Let's assume next entry as I equals to 8. So board of 6 plus 8 by 3, which is 2, and 6 plus 8 modulus 3, which is again 2. So what would be this element? This element would be nothing but board of 8, 8. So you can yourself see that we have traversed all the elements in this submatrix only using this formula. This is the trickiest part of the question, and we have already discussed that it was a violating case because a board of 6, 7 matched with 8, and we'll abort the process. So 8 is not a possibility for this place. Now let's move on to the coding section, and I'll do exactly the same steps as I have told here. So let's start the coding section. The first check that I have written is a safety check. If board happens to be null or board dot length happens to be 0, I simply abort the process. Otherwise, I go and process the solve method that I have created. So it returns false or true if the current state of the board is solvable. If it is not, then it is unsolvable and it will return false. So let's try and understand this method. So it is iterating and one by one across the complete board, starting from I equals to 0 up till 9, starting from j equals to 0 up till 9, and it's gonna check what is the current state of the board at I comma j index. If that element happens to be an empty or vacant element, it will try to fill in characters starting from 1 up till 9 onto that board. So we'll start from 1 up till 9, and we'll check whether if we add this character at I comma j index, the state of the board is valid or not. We'll talk about this method later on, but let's walk through the algorithm first. If we can put this entry at this particular index I comma j, then we'll update the state of the board to C at I comma j index, and then again we will recursively invoke the same method on this board for further iterations. If solve of board returns true, will return true. Otherwise, we simply go back and backtrack the board to the previous state, which was an empty or vacant state. If we can't return true, we'll simply return false after this processing, and in the end we return true from here. Let's talk about the helper method, which forms the core of this problem. So the first thing that we have done here is to normalize the row and column, and we will check while iterating from I equals to 0 up till I equals to n or 9, if board of I comma column happens to be the current character which we are trying to put, we return false. If board of row comma I happens to be equal to C, the new character that we are trying to put, we return false. Otherwise, we will use the formula that I discussed in the presentation to check the state of the board. If board at normalized row plus I by 3, comma normalized column plus I modulus 3 happens to be equal to the element that we are trying to dump, then it already exists and we return false from there. Otherwise, we return true. So let's try this up. Accepted. I hope you enjoyed today's session. If you did, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for viewing it. Have a great day ahead and stay tuned for more updates from Coding Decoded. I'll see you tomorrow with another fresh question. Till then, goodbye.